Welcome to this exciting afternoon today to discuss about mechanisms of sustainable growth in AEC. My name is Teemu Lehtinen, I'm from KIRAHub, and we're an innovation hub accelerating sustainable digitalization in the built environment. We're hosting today's session together with the A-Insinöörit Boost for Startups program. Welcome, Jaakko.
Thank you, Teemu. My name is Jaakko. I come from A-Insinöörit Group. I run our startup program, and we are very happy to have you here today. We will be discussing how established companies and startups can work better to build a better and more sustainable environment.
We're probably going to hear a lot of different acronyms and maybe even buzzwords today, like AEC, PropTech, ConTech, Urban Tech. So just to get everybody on the same level, AEC means architecture, engineering, construction. PropTech is properties technology. ConTech is construction technologies, and Urban Tech is all new kinds of technologies related to the urban challenges. So everything relates to the built environment at large, and we're going to discuss today how we can actually boost these innovations, boost startup ecosystems, entrepreneurship, and maybe even intrapreneurship inside the established organizations.
And I think we will challenge all startups and established companies to work together. Thank you.
So today we will have two panels. First panel will concentrate and discuss about how established organizations and corporate venture capital programs can boost innovations and startup activities. Second one will focus on international networks and innovation networks in different countries. How can we work together and build ecosystems on a global level? And then we also have 5 different growth stories during this session, telling concrete examples of some of the entrepreneurship innovations from A-Insinöörit, but also there's your first investment from the CVC program, and then a couple of examples from Maria startup ecosystem that have been also involved with your process.
Yeah, and I was happy to hear the word boost. That's the name of our startup program. We boost.
Great. Audience online, you can ask questions on chat on whatever platform you're watching this stream, whether it's Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. Please feel free to ask questions from the panelists and also comment today's discussion there. We will actually take some of the questions as part of the discussions also. But now actually to get you all warmed up, we have a question for you in the audience. So please comment and answer in the chat. Why are startups actually essential for sustainable growth in AEC and built environment? Please post your ideas and thoughts about that. But now I think it's time to go forward with today's program, and we will now have a short video introduction to the A-Insinöörit Boost for Startups program and then go to the first panel. Thank you.
Me luvataan mahdollisuus innovoida ja mahdollisuus hyvällä porukalla kehittää uusia alan parhaita ideoita. A-insinöörien startup-ohjelman näkökulmasta meillä pääsee idea rahoitettuna kehittämiseen. Me tehdään aidosti investointipäätöksiä ja yhtiöitetään liikeideoita toimiviksi startup-yrityksiksi.
Kuultiin eka liikeidea tuossa. Sehän kuulosti hyvin sellaiselta, että ponnistaa tuosta ihan A-insinöörien omasta bisneksestä. Kunnianhimoa ja vähän isompia ajatuksia.
Se, mikä oli hieno juttu nähdä, niin ei vaan pelkkiä pilotteja, vaan ihan maksullisia asiakaskeissejä. Se on aina hyvä juttu ja vakuuttaa sijoittajia monella tavalla.
Kaikki ideoimaan, innovoimaan. Meillä on hyvät työkalut, meillä on hyvä porukka. Nyt on mahdollisuus tehdä jotakin, mikä ei ole mahdollista missään muussa insinööritoimistossa Suomessa.
All right. So welcome to the first panel on about how established organization and corporate venturing can accelerate innovations and boost startups. We have a great panel today here with Amel Gaily from FiBAN, Finnish Business Angels Network, Päivi Tomula from Pontos Group, Kaisa Ahonen from Urban Tech Helsinki Incubator, and then Jaakko Jauhiainen, CTO of A-Insinöörit. Let's start with a short intro on yourself and where you actually look at this phenomena, where you come from. Please tell us shortly about that. So if Kaisa can start from here.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. As Teemu mentioned, I'm the project manager of Urban Tech Helsinki. It's a new venture between the city of Helsinki and Aalto University. We are searching for clean and sustainable solutions for cities' challenges. And the first call of startups has just ended, and we are now in the process of selecting our first ever batch of startups to be incubated in our program and to test and validate their product with the city of Helsinki.
Amel.
Hi, so my name is Amel Gaily. Hi on my behalf as well. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'm the managing director of FiBAN. FiBAN is short for the Finnish Business Angels Network. So we're an angel network with 650 plus business angels who invest their own capital into startups. Where we look at it from kind of this industry is that kind of any industry with exciting new innovations and growth potential can be of interest for business angels. So that's kind of where we view from. Last year, our members invested close to 40 million into 321 companies. So there's a huge difference in the companies, both in which sectors they come from, but also in which stage they're in. But looking forward to a very interesting discussion.
Hello, everybody. So I'm investment director at Pontos Group and responsible for our real estate investments, which are located in Finland, Estonia, and Portugal. So Pontos is a Finnish family office, an investor, an active owner. And our future investments in private equity field will focus on PropTech and ConTech companies. So we will digitalize and transform the real estate and construction industry. And also we aim to digitalize our own portfolio through the companies we own or through other digital services.
Thank you, Päivi. Jaakko.
Yes, my name is Jaakko Jauhiainen. I run the startup program, which is really close to a CVC program in A-Insinöörit. So basically, what you need to know about A-Insinöörit is that we are a leading construction management and engineering company. Your team for better and bolder construction, as you might say. And we are really looking at sort of how to make a better, more sustainable built environment. And for this, we have looked into startups and their innovations. We are an established company. We are really good in what we do. But then it sort of contradicts the idea of making new innovations from ground up. And that's why we need startups. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaakko. Before continuing the discussion, let's look at the first growth story of today, and that's actually an internal innovation from A-Insinöörit CityFire. Jukka Kettunen from CityFire will tell us a little bit more about their journey on developing a new solution for urban development utilizing all kinds of data and machine learning.
We urgently need in urban development new ways to combine architectural design, financial goals and ecological aspects in the long-term valuation. That is why we have created CityFire. We started our internal startup at A-Insinöörit 2017 with a core team of 3 people and are now total 7 working with our license service nationwide. I've been in the company for 7 years and seen the success of construction management core business and the company's owners' continuous desire to progress. And this commitment to change is vital for me to have the courage to innovate new services. And together, if we have something to say and we are able to deliver, we can do unique things not done anywhere else.
All right, so that was one example of interesting solution and potential in this field. So let's start with a little bit broader question of how do you actually see the potential of the built environment, architecture, engineering, construction sector from kind of investors' point of view at the moment? Maybe we can start with Amel and Päivi.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Definitely, to be able to assess a company in that sector, one needs to have substance knowledge and understanding, and I think that's where cooperation plays a key part. So it's a matter, I think, of from an angel investor's point of view of gathering other potential investors who are interested, but also who carry then understanding and substance knowledge to kind of add to the plate. So I think it's definitely it requires a combination of substance understanding, but then also, as is common as indicates, it's great if you also have people looking from the outside. So those who can kind of challenge then the norm and the conventional way that things have been done, and kind of assess the company through an outsider's eyes.
And maybe the investor perspective from Pontos' side. So on the field, the productivity has been pretty low, which we all know. But now, at the moment, it seems that the technologies that have been under development, so they have matured to the stage that they can be used on for example, on the construction side or on the architectural design. And the other trend that we see, which from our perspective is seen, that the companies have become more familiar with the innovations, and that because of that they are more willing and open to use this innovation and try them on their operations. And maybe the third one, what we currently and maybe after the COVID crisis have seen, or what has been the trend, is that investment on infrastructure are increasing, and that complements the field of renewable energy sector and that sector, and the institutional actors such as EU, for example, they are funding that sector and putting those facts together, so it makes companies more attractive to accelerate the change and help it.
Yeah, so one of the largest sectors in the world, productivity challenges, sustainability challenges. So there seems to be quite a lot of potential, at least in the sector. How about Kaisa and Jaakko? How do you see from your perspective? Kaisa, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Päivi's comments was Excellent. I started thinking about the COVID-19 situation and the digital leap that has been gone through the whole society and the whole world. So I'm not familiar with the AEC industry as such, but I was just interested. Do you see any change in the use of digital tools? Maybe Jaakko, you can.
So is the industry more ready now after COVID?
Yeah, because we all sit in Teams all day.
Yeah, I think COVID is something that will sort of change the way we work, the way we use buildings, what kind of spaces we need. But then I've been involved in this digitalization since 2007, and that was when Senaatti Properties published their first BIM requirements. And if we look at the international studies by, for example, McKinsey, Deloitte, and so on, construction is one of the least digitalized industries. And my answer is actually that we are living extremely exciting times, since technology develops extremely fast and it offers us a lot of things we can use in construction industry. And if you remember, the definition of innovation can be also that it's something that is brought from another industry and applied. So exciting times, a big market.
Great, a lot of potential, and maybe we can get some answers on how to actually tap into that potential even faster. Kaisa.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that that's maybe where the startups and the new companies are at the best, transferring the knowledge from one industry to another from their point of view. So I think it's very good that the construction companies are looking also into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Since I come from an engineering company, we are what you would basically call an established company. And we are very good in the core business, but then what's happening around you, what's happening in the United States, what kind of technology you can get from China, it's sort of it's out of our reach in a way. So that's why we need the startups that can bring something new to us.
Yeah, and exactly. And actually, does the sector borders actually matter? We did a study on Mario 01 startups, almost 200 startups, and 1/4, about 50, had some kind of relevance to the built environment. And most of them didn't even realize that they are part of built environment. So, okay, I think it's time to see the second growth story of today. This is also internal innovation from A-Insinöörit called Tower Generator. And they've actually built a assistive tool for a designer to automate and optimize the design of high-rise buildings. So let's see what it's all about.
Our team does both. We design structures and we also develop new tools to do that work better. I think new, fresh, digitalized methods will change how we do our everyday work. Those will also help us to achieve better solutions in terms of economical or environmental aspect. That way we can offer more value to our customers. I've been always keen on improving my everyday work, and I want to make my work easier by automating routines. Our team is eager to develop new tools, and our work culture encourages us to test and evaluate those ideas further. Our team has possibilities to ease our colleagues' work and help them to achieve a better solution. Those aspects like environmental or economical are so important that I think this work has really much significance.
Okay, so we've heard now two examples of internal innovations or startups from A-Insinöörit. Let's discuss a little bit more about these kind of mechanisms of how we can actually accelerate entrepreneurship, innovation, startup activities within this field. How do you see it from your perspective? Maybe Kaisa can start from Urban Tech.
Yes, I think in the video the most important word was mentioned, which is culture, of course, which is very different in startups and in established companies, as we all probably know already. So fostering and nurturing the innovation and startup culture within an established company, I think is the key issue here.
What about Jaakko, from your perspective so far from A-Insinöörit and also more broadly around you?
Yeah, I would say what Päivi said was totally right. We all have heard the saying that culture is strategy for breakfast. So what we really need when we look at the startup program, we have, for example, A-Ins Boost. We have the internal side, internal innovations, but then we have also the external view. We invest in startups, external companies, basically. So what we can offer is good environment and culture for our people that fosters innovation. Our people are allowed to work differently, do different things. But then looking at the outside, of course, we basically like to think that our program is a bit like CVC program. It's not about the investment only. It's about our expertise, our customer relationships, our view on business needs, which basically relates directly to demand. And this way we can help also external startups in creating a viable road to scaling up.
Yeah, Päivi.
Yeah, may I continue and give maybe an example how or what is our approach or Pontos approach, and kind of a case how we do it. So we think that networking and sharing the knowledge and sharing the information is key, and we have this structured project in our portfolio companies to encourage them to use the innovations and technology. And at the same time, simultaneously, so it benefits the startups as well. So we introduce to our portfolio companies the startups that we have invested in, or we are familiar from other sides. So we are screening as a new investment for Pontos Group, or we have a cooperation, for example, with Fifth Fall. So we have become familiar through that cooperation. And then we have a discussion with our portfolio companies and introduce them those startups that could be suitable for their business. And then when discussing with portfolio companies teams, so we together analyze which of those innovations could be suitable for them. And we what is important that we encourage them to pilot these innovations and use them. And by having these discussions, we of course receive even more insight from their operations, which might be some of them might be new to us when having these discussions and in the field of digitalization. So we gain our knowledge on that as well, and of course can then later on introduce even more suitable startups and innovation solutions to our portfolio companies. And then it also works from the other way around. So when having discussion with the startups that we consider investing in, so of course we share this knowledge that we have or our insights we have from our platform with these startups and these founders that we are discussing with, and give them or try to help them to develop their products or their services, and even give them sometimes hints how to sell to the established corporations, which might be sometimes hesitant to use innovations. So concluding our project, or what is the aim of our project is that we want to advance the digital and transformation in the industry, in the real estate and construction industry, because we believe that sustainable development calls for use of technology. So that's just a case example how we try to encourage the entrepreneurship.
That's really interesting kind of win-win-win triangle that you have there with the investor, real estate portfolio and startup portfolio kind of working together and have really value to each corner, plus also spillovers all around us. Yeah, interesting. What about Amel?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a fantastic example, and I have to second, I think, everything that's been said so far, starting from culture to working together with larger corporates and this kind of cross border in a way collaboration, because I think that's what it boils down to, that not every startup needs to innovate everything from scratch, but there's a lot of things that you can really learn and take from even surprising stakeholders or other companies. So I think in general, I think more transparency and communications also goes a long way, because there's still a little bit of the effect that everybody's kind of solving their own problems behind closed doors, whereas there are situations where another company has already solved that problem. So I would encourage that as well.
That's a really good point on transparency. Jaakko, you had something in mind.
Yeah, and if you sort of listened very carefully, you heard about companies, connections, other existing technology. It's really about having a ecosystem or network. Nobody can do it alone. So that's why we basically need also organizations like KIRAHub. We need glue and we need a growth platform.
Good. So we have actually a quite large mix of different mechanisms that can be used, and somewhat organizations are using. I don't know if we're using those enough in our field yet. Maybe we can discuss that a bit later. But yeah, definitely it's a mix of different mechanisms, and one size doesn't fit all in this. Let's introduce our third growth story of today. It's going to be AI for Site, which is actually the first investment of Boost for Startups program. Kari Hirvijärvi will tell us more about their approach on data-driven management of construction site.
We develop and provide a construction operating management system. At the moment, to solve or help to solve productivity problem in the construction industry. I think the main thing is to have a good team. When I started this company, I was alone, but I have been very happy to have a good employees and good partners to join my journey and our journey today. And I think that is the main thing. CVC programs, they are, in the best case, they are very valuable to both partners. Perhaps we can give some new, fresh ideas to CVCs, and in the other side, we can have a new networks and end customers also. Think about it. We are trying to solve the productivity problem in construction industry. I think that is the big thing.
Awesome. So we are in the midst of solving big things here. Kari talked a lot about the kind of finding a right team and a good team. Let's discuss a bit about that. What are some of the kind of ways we can support forming great teams in this field? On the other hand, how do you actually, from the kind of investment perspective, how do you assess a team when you're making investment decisions. Maybe if Jaakko can start, and then Päivi and Amel.
Yeah, so definitely the team is something that sort of makes or breaks the deal. A friend of mine usually says that in the perfect team you basically have a hustler and a hacker. So we are looking at people who are committed, they are driven, they have the burn. But also we are looking at teams. Do they commit to us? Are they honest, open, straightforward? This is exactly what you need in order to have a good communication with them when preparing the investment. So it's really, from the team perspective, it's usually quite obvious and it's quite easy. It's like going to a dance, meeting your wife for the first time, you know.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, so I 100% also agree with the statement that team is everything. So that's true. And from the Pontos perspective, we are a human-centric company, and human centricity is one of our 3 values. So it's very important thing, and part of that is people's well-being, which we believe that creates value for the company in a long run as well, and it's very, very important. Maybe about the how to assess the team and as part of the due diligence process. So we have a discussion with management and with the founders, and analyze their competencies and look into their skills, and also have a discussions what is the gap there and what is not there at the moment. So it's equally important to understand and have a common understanding what is what will be supplemented to the team in the future to achieve the targets and to achieve the strategy business plan together. And Pontos, we as an active owner, so it's important to us, and it's important to the startup that we invest to also understand that we will work together with them to achieve the great team when we are in the investment, and we have created this active ownership model which we constantly improve, and by that we want to get there together with them.
Amel.
Yeah, I have to agree with both of you. I think team is one of my favorite topics as well, because I think there's so much to be said about that. But if we start with kind of what a team needs is definitely diversity. So a team with 5, for example, construction engineers, they have a lot of substance knowledge, but they will definitely need others around them as well. So I think it's starting with that you have enough diverse knowledge and understanding, but also, that everybody in the team is doing the right thing. So what they should be doing, playing to their strengths. Also, I think a team needs honesty, as to what you were saying as well, that they should also be realistic about what they don't have within the team, and what is something that perhaps an investor can bring, and where do they need kind of strengthening. And I think that's very important. And something when I look at it from an angel investor's point of view, kind of two things to add still. One would be that, it's important to, even in the beginning, before any investment or agreements are made, is really to kind of discuss what is the future goal, so that you're both really kind of headed the same way. If the startup is, aiming to make it into a family company, which they will own forever, then as an example, then it's not something that's suitable for an investor that is looking to make an exit in the next 5 years, for example. So it's really important to have those discussions from initially, because those will come up along the way. And I think it's so true what you're saying, Jaakko, about this kind of, you have to look at it as a date in a way, because we sometimes joke that an average angel investment takes 7 to 10 years, and that's longer than many marriages. So in a way, and more difficult to get out of. So you should definitely do your due diligence in that sense, because it always boils down to people.
Good point. Kaisa, you're at Urban Tech Helsinki. You're just in the middle of evaluating the first batch of applications. Can you share some insight on your assessment of the teams there?
Yes, I kind of wanted to continue the analog of meeting your future spouse, because you also want to see what kind of family they have, relations, extended team, advisors, investors. So you're joined to all this bigger group also, not just the founding team. But one thing I wanted to bring up is the coachability of the team, the ability to accept advice and to share the network, share in the ecosystem and with the extended team. So that's a key issue also when we are choosing the startups for our program now.
Jaakko.
And something that sort of popped into my mind is, if we think about the team, it doesn't have to be perfect, but they must be willing to sort of take advice. I don't think Facebook in its early days knew how to get private equity. There are people who can show you how to do things, but you have to have sort of the basics together.
Yeah. Good. Before wrapping up this panel discussion, let's see the fourth growth story. This is Chaos, which is actually one of the Mori01 alumni companies. They have moved out already because they've grown so fast. Chaos has been also in the radar of Boost for Startups process, and they're also developing a solution for urban development, how they can actually provide new insights for livability of cities. So let's see what they're all about.
I believe that
our vision, it's more livable cities around the world. We are working with real estate investors, with developers, construction companies, consultants, cities all over, just to bring the best insights that we can get for these. And there's a value I see in these kind of programs. And the more we have accelerators, funds, or even companies doing these, private companies, the more we're going to open the ecosystem and create more possibilities. Real estate is one of the industries that moves the most money in the world, and it's also one of the most old-fashioned. So I truly believe that the more market we open here, the more we are going to be ready to serve the industry and the industry to adopt PropTech solutions. And of course, a step closer to make more livable cities around the world.
All right, so far we've kind of have built shared understanding where we stand today regarding the built environment sector and different mechanisms of boosting innovations. Kind of concluding today's discussion, what should we do next? What should we do in the next few years to actually tap into this huge potential that we have in the productivity and sustainability of the built environment, our buildings, our cities, to really accelerate it faster than we've been able to do it so far? Thoughts about that? Who wants to start?
Yeah. So I think, as I have said, nobody can do it alone. I come from an established company. We need startups, but we also need established companies to embrace startups, their ideas, their technology. We need to sort of do this together. Yeah.
Continue even deeper collaboration. Okay, Kaisa.
Yes, you stole my line. So networks, ecosystem, and I'd like to also add the universities here, the students, the hope is in the youth, as they say. So let's include even wider audiences, wider networks for this cooperation.
How do you see the role of the investors in this equation? We now talk more and more about impact investment. and in this field, that's really one of the biggest kind of trends. How do you see the role of the investors in accelerating the innovation and renewal of this huge sector?
Yeah. I would say maybe would like to flag couple things. So from the example that I gave, maybe the piloting approach would be one thing that we should do better and we should do next. So to encourage companies to try to or use the solutions and use the innovations. So that would be one. And the second issue that I would like to raise would be that the digitalization and innovation should be on the responsibility of all the management members. So it's not only one management member's responsibility or on his or her agenda, but it should be on all's agenda, including board level, where the discussions should be held as well.
Amel.
Yeah, I think 2 points come to mind. I think first of all, I mean, what has already come up today is that it's a huge industry with so much potential, which is really lagging behind the potential. So I think kind of a word of encouragement to any kind of startup or any potential founder listening is that there's a huge market up for grabs and someone will take it. So it could be your team. So I think first of all, that's a great thing to acknowledge that there's so much potential there. And then I think from an investor's point of view, definitely, as Teemu mentioned, this kind of knowing the impact of the company is something that is becoming not anymore nice to have, but something that's necessary to have. And at FiBAN, for example, we assess all companies in the way that the company must present, in their pitch, which of the 17 sustainable development goals they're trying to improve and how they're measured and so forth. And I think that's definitely something that many companies in this industry can also have a really kind of strong foothold in, because really the impact is so huge and it is really contributing to a more sustainable future. So I think that's also a strength for this industry.
So let's continue this deeper collaboration and also transparency of these opportunities and provide this kind of a environment for this field where we can really accelerate and introduce opportunities to also new players outside and work together with established deep kind of knowledge players with these kind of fresh ideas. I think now it's time to open up a short Q&A session as well for our panelists. I think we also have the startups and growth stories online. So this is actually an opportunity for you panelists to ask questions from them as well. So if you want to think of something to ask from Natalia, Kari, and others that we've seen so far, we didn't see it point scene yet, Lauri, but we will see it later. So the startups, if you have questions for the panelists or vice versa, the floor is yours. Anyone wants to start? Päivi?
Can I have a question?
Yes, and then Natalia after that.
Yeah, so I gave this example how we at Pontos have this project connecting startups and our portfolio companies. So how does it sound to you? So any tips that we could do better, or how we could even improve that?
Natalia, go ahead.
I actually was going to make a comment related to that.
Okay.
Maybe I extend a little before I give my whole answer, but what I have seen as an issue in overall like the real estate, it's that different funds and VCs have complained that the PropTech solutions are very slow in being adopted. This comes from even companies in New York or US. So the VCs are discussing like, why is the adoption of tech or PropTech so slow when it's very needed in the market? And maybe it's also like something to think about moving forward is like, aside from establishing a fund, which is really good, and private companies should be doing that, especially the ones in real estate, is like, how are we adopting those PropTech solutions? Because when I have been getting the task to actually understand from these funds that are being born from these companies, are the companies using startup products? And typically the answer is no. So then I realized that the venture fund is working in siloed with the management. And the management who is making the decision of adopting the startup solution is not going for those solutions. So there's a miscommunication internally. It's like, we are an innovative company which is establishing a fund, but our company is not using startup solutions. So I see a discrepancy in there as well. Maybe this is a way to help startups also in PropTech, like penetrate the market. And of course, get like rapid feedback.
Yeah, thank you. So sounds good.
Any comments? Other comments on that?
I think it's a fair point.
Right on the money. Good. How about others? Kari, Jukka.
Yeah, just think about what did you said. That is the problem what we are facing in related to construction industry, and we say here in our side that it's we have a up and down strategy in order to deploy our solution to construction industry and owners, real estate owners also. Up and down strategy means that construction companies have I think all the management realize the potential of like productivity. It's a huge, but industry's inner problem is that all those construction sites are projects, and those construction management have a quite big power to select different solutions. So there are two elements. Those who are managing the company are willing to go forward, but those who are running the project, their target is to go through with the project and manage to have a good, valuable project without any disturb. And maybe new innovation can be disturbed of their point of view. So I think this productivity thing is most related to owners. I think we should have somehow company owners to push this development forward. Also, of course, management, but the owners. I think that is the main area where to put focus on to boost deployment.
That's also a really good point, and we just discussed before we started that one of the challenges in this sector is the project-based nature of the business, and in order to really accelerate adopting new solutions, we should be able to change the project business models as well that would support that on a kind of project level. So this is kind of systemic, structured challenge that we have to be able to adapt to be able to kind of take innovations faster. I want to have a really quick round with our growth stories. What are your big dreams for the next 5 years? Let's start with Natalia and then go with Jukka, Kari, and Lauri.
I can give two answers, and one I think it's going to generate panic. But we want to disrupt the industry in such a way that we touch elements of the banking industry or insurance. There's a lot. We work with investors, and by enabling or putting out the information in a very transparent way, that means that we will disrupt also the valuations, for example. So that is like a very, very big goal that we have. But overall, I think the end goal is to make livable solutions. We believe that transparency in the real estate industry or city development industry would allow people, like normal citizens, to make more sustainable choices overall and would create much more livable cities.
Thanks, really inspiring. Jukka.
Yes, thank you. Like Natalie said, the industry is huge and there are a lot of different sustainable issues that we can tackle with our solution in the urban development. But as we are in the very early stage of our business, I see the next 5 years still that the scaling up internationally is for us the first step, since we haven't found any similar solutions anywhere else. So we hope to be very open and innovative also in the future.
Sounds good. Then Kari.
Our target is to solve a productivity problem in construction industry globally, and we have already started. We have projects in USA, UK, Norway, Denmark, India, and reach in other countries. We are actually in quite interesting phase. We managed to finalize our 4 million financial round before summer. Now we are 20 people, and after 1 year we are some plus 70, nearly 80 people. And I see our next 5 years very, very, very interesting potential for Finnish technology solution. And yeah, solving the productivity problem in practice.
Great. That is really impressive growth. How about Lauri?
Hey, first of all, greetings from Kemi, capital of Northern Finland or whatever. So you were asking about next 5 years. I'm thinking that
yes.
The past 5 years, we did not, I think we didn't have one construction site, or we didn't have any construction site clients. And now today we were visiting one of our clients, the biggest biomaterial mill, the Metsä Fiber project, and we are part of that. So if we think that points in 5 years ago didn't have anything, and next 5 years we are part of a huge, like multi-billion euro construction project, and it's earthworks and everything around that. So basically the data management and situation management on that site. If we take that growth, I think that the next 5 years we will have, of course, global sites, or at least European-wide site coverage, and actually solving the problems of actual on-site employees. Because that's what, in these panels like this, we sometimes forget that the people on the site have like actual issues that they want to get solved, and they don't care about digitalization. They care about productivity, but from their personal point of view instead of project view, like the workers on the site. So I think that we as startups need to think about the users of the site and the people on the site, because without the people accepting our like high level targets, they cannot sort of fulfill those targets, or we cannot fulfill those targets. So that's how we see it. We want to be very close to our clients. We want to be close with our partners, and build the trust and the growth from there.
Yeah, exactly. There's often been discussion around this that kind of getting new things adopted. It's not about the buzzword. It's actually about boring innovation in this field. That you just there's real problems that need to be solved, and that's it. So that's to the point, Lauri. I want to thank our panelists for the great discussion and great insights from different areas today. Really, thank you for coming here. And also, I want to thank our impressive growth stories and inspiring growth stories that we've seen today, and also have had privilege to discuss with. We have to continue with our program to the next panel. So see you in a while. Thank you. All right, welcome back. So now we have the second panel about international networks, ecosystems, and innovation networks. What kind of role do these things play in accelerating innovations in our field? We have incredible people joining from 3 different countries. First, Jakob Norman-Hansen, Head of Global Networks from BLOXHUB, Denmark. Then we have Madis, Chairman of the Board of Estonian Digital Construction Cluster. And Riku Mäkelä, Counselor in Trade and Innovation Affairs at Embassy of Finland in Singapore, and also Nordic Innovation House. Welcome you all. Let's start with a kind of short introductions by each one of you. Jakob, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Timo. Thank you for inviting me here, and thank you also. It was very inspiring to hear the first session, I think, today. And hello from Copenhagen. Since I'm joining from abroad, I thought actually I would try to share a presentation. Let me see if it works. So I represent BLOXHUB, and BLOXHUB is the we call it the Center for Sustainable Urbanization in the Nordics. It is a fairly new organization in Copenhagen. We are situated in central Copenhagen, as you can see on this slide here. Our mission is to find solutions to some of the challenges that we have within urban development. So the idea is to kind of make a plan, many different organizations to work together, to work across silos. We usually say that BLOXHUB is both the space, the physical space where we can interact and we can work together. It's also about creating networks between different silos, different perspectives. But I think one of the kind of unique things about us compared to other co-working spaces is that we all the organizations that are present here and also other members are actually working with some field of urban development or with some perspective of urban development. And what we try to do is actually to create this collaboration across these silos, and not just between different professions, but also between public, private, and research. And so it's broader than just buildings. We work with urban development, and this can be everything from buildings to issues like circular economy, governance, digitalization, and so on. So many different types of organizations, from one-person startups to the climate organization C40 for cities, research institutions, and so on, are part of either part of the co-working space here at BLOXHUB, but they can also just be members. So we are a membership organization. We're not an accelerator. We are not an incubator per se, but we do have some initiatives and programs to help support this innovation, and I think that's going to be an interesting discussion later on how we do that. So we realize that even though we have some very great organizations in both Copenhagen but also Nordics, we need to source in knowledge. We need to source in solutions from outside. So we are working with global networks. That is also my role in the organization, and at the same time try to promote our companies and our organizations abroad and activate them on platforms internationally. We have this science component, drawing in research networks, but also placing, for example, industry PhDs with our member companies so they can create this knowledge that we need for innovation processes. Events like hackathons that KIRAHub will also be a part of later this year are quite important to also draw in these resources of innovation. And then finally, we have actually a whole program dedicated to innovative practices called urban partnerships. It's really about collaborating with organizations both within but also outside our ecosystem to try to find solutions to some of the pressing challenges in urban development. And we do that by curating our different member organizations and leveraging this knowledge and this expertise that we have in facilitated workshops. So that's a very short introduction to BLOXHUB. I've been looking forward to see to share knowledge with you and how we can promote innovation and also promote these ecosystems.
Thank you, Jakob. And it's been really inspiring to follow your journey since the beginning, and you're certainly played a major role in our journey as well as forming KIRAHub here in Finland. Madis, how about you and Estonian Digital Construction Cluster?
Yeah, hello everyone, and thanks for asking to give some input, and Teemu have been like a really nice discussion panel what you guys had before. But I believe KIRAHub and the BLOXHUB is almost the same, that Estonian Digital Construction Cluster in Estonia is like collaboration platform, and we take the private sector and the public sector, and that's and also help the companies to do the international business. But what about my background? Yeah, we started with the Digital Construction Cluster in 2015, and right now I'm the chairman in cluster. And but everyday life I'm like running the architecture and engineering company, and also involved in 2 startups. Then this how to boost the startups, then it's really like close to heart topic for me also. Then it's pretty interesting, and everyone knows that it takes a lot of time, and being like a traditional company and then to how to innovate those like startups from the traditional company, and how it will be, then it's really nice to see. But yeah, short like introduction, but that's really cool that that Teemu, that the KIRAHub is like arranging this event and taking this topic on the table, and also the BLOXHUB, and we pretty much know that everyone we do collaborate in one or another way, like through the hackathons and or the VDB or events, or then it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. And as we discussed on the previous panel, that we definitely need to continue and deepen the collaboration and really have that as one vehicle to accelerate things on a global level as well. Also, I want to point that, of course, Estonia is really known as this kind of unicorn factory in the world. I think you have the kind of highest number unicorns per capita in Estonia. Really looking forward to see more unicorns for the built environment as well, coming from Estonia.
Yeah, hopefully next ones come from construction sector, and then
exactly.
and we can collaborate with different countries for these challenges. That's the most important.
Yeah. Okay, then Riku Mäkelä from Singapore. Go ahead and introduce yourself and what you've been doing there.
Okay, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you here in this event, this panel about ecosystems and networks, and I would like to add the word hub there, because KIRAHub, it's calling itself a hub. So I actually work in 3 different networks in kind of a hub type of a role here in Singapore. So I work at the Embassy of Finland in Singapore, and this embassy is one of 80 embassies and consulates that Finnish Ministry for Foreign Affairs is running globally. And then I'm also part of Business Finland's regional network in APAC area. And Business Finland has no office in Singapore, but they have offices in 35 different countries. So Ministry for Foreign Affairs and Business Finland together, they help Finnish companies globally as a network that we call Team Finland Network. And then I'm also part of a joint Nordic operation called Nordic Innovation House Singapore, where all the 5 Nordic countries together help Nordic startup and growth stage companies to build their business towards Singapore and through Singapore towards Southeast Asia. And then in all of these 3 roles, where I'm kind of thinking that my small operation hosted by our embassy, so it is kind of a hub role in these networks, where my main task is to help Finnish companies and innovators to connect to knowledge, opportunities, organizations and people in Singapore and through Singapore in rest of Asia, as Singapore is the hub of innovation and technology in Southeast Asia or Asia. And just in recent ranking by KPMG, Singapore is called the world's #1 technology innovation hub after Silicon Valley, based on KPMG ranking methodology. Yeah.
Sounds good. And it's actually not a surprise that we have these countries represented here today, because if we actually think about Finland, Estonia, Denmark, and Singapore, and built environment, these are actually countries kind of spearheading the digital transformation and also kind of the technological development regarding real estate and construction sector globally. So we are really well kind of located as being kind of the first markets where we start scaling these solutions from each of our countries. I think we already kind of answered the question, why do we actually need these innovation networks and ecosystems, at least at some level. I want to go to the last growth story that we've had today. So let's introduce PointScene, which is an open BIM cloud-based solution for especially infrastructure construction. Let's watch their video.
I believe that the future of construction is transparent, situation-aware, and data-driven. The path to success is having close connections with customers and partners within the open BIM ecosystem. Nobody will solve the productivity or digitalization issues alone. We need to work together. PointScene is all about digital transformation in construction works for better decision making and building sustainable infrastructure.
All right. I think there were some of the keywords that we've already have been mentioned today, and are also really relevant for the scalability on a global level. Open standards, collaboration, transparency, so that we can actually really adopt these solutions in different countries. Let's go to the question of some concrete examples from us, kind of ecosystem players, hubs, these kind of supporting facilitators of innovation. What are some of the concrete requests that you've received from established companies or startups, kind of company networks in your own country, and how you have helped them in recent years? Let's have a round starting from Denmark and Jakob.
Well, I think one obvious example is when Corona started, there was suddenly a lot of apprehension about the future of work and how we will work together in the coming years, and also how companies can support their employees working from home. So this is actually some of the requests we received at BLOXHUB, and we managed to put together both architects, designers, technology companies, but also some of the big employers to see what would the principles be for supporting this new culture of working from home, because this was something where a lot of companies had to make this rapid transition, and I think this ideation process that we as an ecosystem can help facilitate is really what is urgently needed in that situation. But of course, you don't come up with a solution right away. You start a process, you receive some insights, but in this meeting between the different perspectives, and not just, maybe also in this example, for example, the regulators were an important part of the equation. So I was thinking before, when we talked about ecosystem, how do you really define an ecosystem? I think we all have an idea of what it is, but I think we also have different definitions of it. It can be quite narrow. It could be like ecosystems of companies working together, corporates and startups, but it could also be a more societal level, like we need, for example, the users and the policymakers and some of the institutional actors to be part of that ecosystem, because they are also the ones that need to implement the solutions you need. So you need to involve them in the process. I think something that we can do as hubs and some facilitators of ecosystems.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and definitely, at least in Finland, we see really an important aspect of providing or bridging public sector and private sector together as an ecosystem player, so that we can then facilitate the kind of systemic change towards more sustainable and more productive built environment sector. Great. What about Estonia and some concrete examples?
Thank you. In Estonia, if we think about the cluster, then we have over like 50 members, and all like over the life cycle, taking like surveyors, like architects, facility managers, contractors, and then and also the startup community is involved. And for them, it's the best thing, like the first place where you can test your business model, to have the presentations, to have the connections, and see when the Estonian contractors and companies start using their services, then it's the first testing floor, and then we can move forward. Then it's one point. But another point is the cluster is supported by government, and if there are some activities to test the business model or test the prototype or work out the prototype, then we can support them with 50%. But another, if you think about the companies or startups who start the activity, and first thing that they don't make profit, another thing that you have to put 50% your time or effort and the money, then it's still risky. But that's the place where you need to find the partners and angel investors and venture capitalists and that kind of community. But we have also like association for that also. Then it's pretty good.
Sounds good. How about Riku in Singapore?
So about what companies usually ask, what kind of help. So usually it's about asking for some knowledge or some connections to right type of target organizations. And then sometimes we are able to answer directly from the embassy if we happen to know the sector. And then most often we only or also introduce to other people who know immediately. So basically how we play the network and ecosystem game is that we try to know who knows everything about certain sector and who is well connected and so on. So then we can connect Finnish companies directly to those people who can then help directly forward. And then a few examples about these types of requests lately. One was about building related technology request, kind of information request, or a company wanted to understand if they should try to sell their solution in Singapore. And then, because we didn't know the answer immediately, although we thought that it's not a good fit to the market. So I happened to have a meeting the next day with the head of R&D center of HDB. That's the biggest housing developer in Singapore, backed by Singapore government. So head of R&D told that, yep, they don't have that type of a need at all, because in here, ventilation in private housing is done by opening windows. And AC is used for cooling the homes, but there's no motorized ventilation like in Finland and Nordics. We have these things in big multi-story houses and so on. So that was kind of a simple example that sometimes it's easy to find answer to exact question, or then we directly request forward. Another example actually relates to concrete. I think question was about concrete examples. So this is related to concrete or actually non-concrete, one of the producers of future concrete replacing materials. So they wanted to connect with one investor. So then we kind of pushed the investor to meet the Finnish company. And actually we were not able to do it only from Singapore, but we took some muscle from Business Finland headquarters and Ministry of Foreign Affairs headquarters, because we happened to have some money, some Finnish public money that had gone into that fund that was in question. So that was again kind of a well-educated way of, or well-supported way, because we had a direct money link to make some effort easier for the Finnish company. Then now, for full transparency, now becomes a small advertisement, direct advertisement for all technology companies in this event. So we are going to run a joint Nordic Smart Building Technology Market Entry Program in November under the Nordic Innovation House collaborative efforts. And we are now looking for promising technology companies from Finland and other Nordics to participate in that. Max 20 companies will be on board. Deadline for applications is 17th of September. Then we will make decisions who will be able to be on board. And in that program, we have kind of a good mix of who is who when we look at the biggest companies and biggest players in public sector in Singapore who develop the 3 biggest new city districts, which will be as smart and sustainable as possible when you are able to kind of really design how to develop those city districts to keep Singapore in #1 position in smart cities ranking, where they have been for several years, and Helsinki is #2, and that's really good for Helsinki. And then for that program, if you're interested, please check out through the link that is now shared at social media and was there in an overlay just a moment ago. So that's one example of things that we do. And actually, recently I have spoken with many Finnish companies because they have asked if they should join. And then when we have discussed about companies' road strategy and roadmap and potential product market fit and what type of help they need. So if they have wanted to test their product market fit towards Singapore, and if they have wanted to learn about the market, and if they have wanted to introduce themselves to key players, then it's been a good match and they have applied. That's it.
Sounds really good, and that's also a great opportunity to BLOXHUB network in Denmark, and I don't know how you feel about Estonia as part of Nordic Innovation House activities, but maybe there's a chance to kind of apply from there as well. And I can really recommend Riku and Riku's experience in Singapore. He's really a hustler there and knows the networks really well. I could share some stories with kind of taking some of the Finnish companies from Finland to Singapore and selling, for example, window cleaning robots in the basements of Marina Bay Sands and so on and so on. So there is really a lot of potential and huge market there for these solutions. Great. Let's go to our kind of last question about local and global. If we think about built environment, real estate and construction sector, often people say that it is really a local business. Construction is local. Of course, we have some examples of global success stories from architectural design, engineering companies, and so on, but there are not that many global construction companies. How do you see, of course, when we think about digital solutions, which are usually more scalable globally, but how do you see this local global aspect from your perspective, from your country? Can we make this industry more global in many ways? Maybe Jakob can start again.
Yes, I think that's an interesting question, and we've been thinking about this also a lot in BLOXHUB and in our strategies. But I think our approach is that we have to think in the global level from the start if we want our innovations to be impactful. So then it has to be kind of be born global and be ready for the international market. It's true that the construction industry is quite local, but there's also a lot we can learn from each other. And as I said, we find it really essential that we also invite in, that we get input from abroad. Innovation process is not just about knowledge, about solutions, but also about the global challenges. So I think there is potential for scaling up solutions, and I think one of the key drivers we see right now as really something that pushing scalability and pushing digitalization is this the need for sustainability and the need for circular solutions also in the construction industry. If we want to create a truly circular construction industry, then we need to do it scalably and attack it from a systemic level. So this is also something that I think kind of makes it more relevant to approach global markets with.
That's a really good point. How about Madis and Estonian perspective on this?
Mm-hmm. I believe there we can bring the boundary between global market or local market. And for example, I believe we can export knowledge-based services and processes, but end of the day, they are in construction field, labor force is usually the local, but there are many examples. For example, from the last block, the concrete example from the cluster that we arranged many study trips for different countries, and for example visited China 2 years ago. Then construction of China company is listed company and works worldwide. Then I believe the construction business it's possible to do also globally. But for example, in Estonia, the biggest construction contractor company has 500 employees. Then it's not really maybe the vision or ambition to export so much then and have to work in local market. But for example, what we managed with state is that we participate Expo Dubai this year, and also the cluster companies are attending there who are eager to export and also to gain connections. Then this is the good example, to go to the Dubai Expo and have good connections, and so what is able to do. Then for my opinion, I see that knowledge-based services are possible to export, and that's something we can go global, and that's probably the main trigger for the efficiency in our sector.
Yeah, definitely. How about Riku and Singapore perspective on this?
Okay, lost the button. Yeah, so the construction companies of Finland, the construction work really hard to bring to Singapore, but then everything that is scalable and all these promising new startup or spin-off ideas from Finnish construction companies and such, and then everything about IoT, all types of new building materials from the renewable sources, different types of digital tools for construction process, for real estate management, and so on. So there's endless list of opportunities in Singapore and globally for scalable solutions where company has something that makes them enough different from all the competition. A couple of examples from Singapore. Already 5 years ago, I think, Changi Airport, world's #1 airport, 13 years in a row or something like that. They had looked for indoor wayfinding solution for people who walk inside of the airport. So how to provide indoor wayfinding through mobile phones. They had piloted and tested lots of different solutions, and they ended up that Finnish company SteerPath seems to have the only solution that really works in airport setting, and they took that into use, and it's still there. So next time when you can fly to Singapore, you get a permit and you use their Changi app in the phone, and you use the map service that's based on Finnish wayfinding technology, based on Bluetooth and full understanding of the Bluetooth stack. And another example, one of IoT sensoring companies who participated in our Nordic program last year, Smart City program, they just got a really big deal together with their local partner to cover one university campus with thousands of sensors for all types of measurements, and that are used for, first of all, for energy savings, and then for many other purposes. But they are trying to prove that energy savings will be substantial after utilizing full-scale IoT setup on campus, and that would pay back the investment, and then investment will pay back much more in many other use cases. So yeah, we have lots of opportunities, but solutions have to be scalable and they have to be better than competition, differentiate them.
Really good examples. I think it's time to wrap up our discussion now. Do we still have our growth stories online with us? At least some of them are still hanging there. Great. I want to ask one question from you about how do you see your own global potential, and what can we do as an international network and this kind of connected ecosystem in different countries or hubs, communities to support your objectives. So maybe Natalia first and then Jukka and Lauri.
Yeah, thank you. And I think I have met already like BLOXHUB and also Singapore Riku. Not yet like we are going to Estonia, but I think there's a very big value in these type of communities because they are your first filter to explore the market. So definitely I see very good coming from this. Moving forward, I think that as we move more to telcos, and we have seen through this corona, I think that this virtual space or being part of the community in a virtual way, it's very good, as if you would have like this virtual office also there. So we have been working with some already like that, and I think it works very well. I also wanted to comment about the last question there, like is this construction local or global? And it's a question I don't understand. For me, it's global. It would be strange for me to say that a newspaper is local right now. I mean, take a look how many of us read New York Times, and it's from New York. So I think that to think of an industry in this era as local, it's absurd. Also in construction, it's like, even though we use workers, I believe that those workers will be replaced eventually by robots in construction. We already see some robots participating in construction, and it doesn't mean that humans are replaceable. It means that humans are going to do other tasks that is not particularly maybe in sight. So I don't see that as a local industry at all. And from Chaos perspective, real estate is in the whole world. It's controlled also by banks that are having similar like standards in the whole world. So it's not local at all. It's, as Riku mentioned, a startup is scalable. That's the whole point.
Really good points. How about Jukka?
Yeah, actually we are attending in 2 weeks Singapore Geo Festival under the so-called Finnish umbrella of the sustainable solutions. So I think that is a good way. I like the theme and the thinking of that there will be like, we will be 3 or 4 startups from Finland joining together, and this kind of same approach to many other events and conferences before. I have noticed that is a very good way coming from a small country like Finland or from the Nordics to get a bit bigger attention and audience to our top knowledge and high-tech solutions. So yeah, I fully support and believe that doing together and joining forces when going global is something to do.
Sounds promising. How about Lauri?
Yeah, from point of view, we are of course looking into global customers from the construction industry, but we see our way towards like bigger international scale and reach. We see it through developers. So we are publishing, or we have our points in API and our engine in beta version already now, and some of our customers are using that to create their own integrations or applications on top of the points in technology. And we see that, of course, the construction sites and the companies are like somewhat local, but they are using either regional or global systems to carry out their work. And we see that the path to reaching them is definitely through the software developer community, who are building the solutions for this whole ecosystem of ecosystems.
Okay, sounds good. I think, unfortunately, it's time to wrap up our session today. We're already a bit over time. I want to really thank you all. Thanks the panelists from our partner countries. Thanks all the incredible growth stories that we've had today. Let's continue the collaboration. Let's continue sharing these opportunities, and please follow up all the opportunities that were shared today. I think it's the only way forward and really accelerating the impact and change of this industry. Jaakko, I want to ask you here for a sec to wrap up today's discussion. So, what do you think? What did we learn today? And what's the next steps for Boost for Startups?
Okay, first of all, I hope that the audience really and the startups attending this event, they learned something, because we are basically there to give them new opportunities. And all in all, it was very, very interesting hearing the different approaches these companies have in terms of internationalization. One through, say, developers creating and publishing a API, and then the event in Singapore and so on. So I don't think there is one single way a startup can internationalize. Everyone has to find their own way. But it has been really interesting seeing these people and also hearing the thoughts of the international panel. We absolutely need the international connection. It's part of the ecosystem and the network every startup must create. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaakko. And you just had your recent blog post about challenging other established companies also to take over, to start similar initiatives that A-Insinöörit has done now with the Boost for Startups. Any thoughts about that challenge?
Okay, first of all, it's a challenge, and every company needs to find their own way. But then I think this type of program we have, for example, it's useful in the sense that it has a formal structure. We have decision-make bodies, we have an investment company, and we are only one phone call away. So I would challenge all established companies to really think how to take part in this community. We need all established companies to take part in this.
I think that's a good sentence to end this session. Thank you all for watching, and let's continue working together to really renew and make this built environment sector more sustainable and more productive. Thanks.
Thank you.